Good morning. How's it going out there today? Looks like it's going to be a bright, sunny, warm day out there today, and I'm excited to get out there and mix it up on the trails here shortly. Thinking about my friends that struggle sometimes when they're isolated and all alone today, and thinking what God had to say about that. And I think He understands. I can't imagine the isolation that Jesus had those final days when He was walking through the Garden of Gethsemane to talk to His Father, and the disciples couldn't stay awake, and He had conflicts outside of Him and fears probably, or fearful thoughts inside of Him, and yet He was able to walk forward through those difficult times. And so I think the whole process of humanity was pointed out in creation in Genesis, and in Genesis 2:18, right after God had made Adam. Then it says, Then the Lord said, It is not good for the man to be alone. This is after He said all these things were good. It's good, it's good, it's good, but it's not good for man to be alone. And here we are, we've been, as a culture, probably not only in the United States, but all over the world, we've been isolated for many, many weeks now. And God just says that's not good. It's not good for man to be alone. And I'm not talking about the political or the opinions of this whole thing. I'm just talking about the internal challenges of those who maybe are prone to things like anxiety and depression. And so that's what I was thinking about my friends that struggle in that way today. And there's something good just to get outside. So if you can get outside and get some fresh air, that's going to be good. Just to take a walk, there's some physical things that help against those anxieties and depression by just getting some exercise. But I think a key thing I wanted to point out to you, if you are struggling in these things and you have struggled in those ways, that you're not alone. It's a common thing. It is common to David and to Paul, and yet there's victory and there's hope. And that's what I wanted to show out there to you today. If you look over at Second Corinthians chapter 7, um, make sure I got the right verse here. Um, Yeah, here it is. Verse 5. I didn't scribble it in my notes for some reason. He says, For even when we came into Macedonia, our flesh had no rest. There was just this anxiousness in him. But we were afflicted on every side, conflicts without, and fears within. How's that sound? Does that sound common to any of you? Then he says, But God, that's one of those big buts of God, but God, who comforts the depressed, comforted us by the coming of Titus, and not only that by his coming, but also by the comfort with which he was comforted in you, as he reported to us your longing, your mourning, your zeal to us. So I Paul rejoiced even more. And so he gives that little section there in 2 Corinthians 7:5-7 about his own challenges and difficulties, struggles, and he says that I was comforted, and I saw it as a three-way comforting going on there. Paul and Timothy were comforted by Titus coming to them. Titus was comforted because the Corinthians encouraged him and told him good things. And Paul was comforted again because he heard that the Corinthians had encouraged Titus. And so there's this cycle inside the body of church of Christ, the church, that can be encouragers and bring hope to those. And that has to come from not being alone. And that can be as easy as you picking up the phone and calling somebody today and encourage them, jotting them a note, encourage them, going over and doing something nice to encourage them. As you encourage somebody else, that encourages your own soul and lifts you up from that place of anxiety or anxiousness. And so there's challenges and hopes as you're alone through this season. But my prayer is that you might see hope and encouragement if you are feeling a little down during this time, or even a lot down. Um, One other thing that I might throw out there to you is Psalm 135-150. Mostly those are praise psalms that David did there, and I know that as you praise God, that lifts up your soul. So as you look to the future and you're considering today, praise God for what He's going to do today. Praise God for what He did yesterday. Praise God for the good things in your life, and know He loves you greatly, and He'll walk you through this season of aloneness that a lot of us experience during this quarantine time. So keep the faith, walk by faith, and encourage others, and your own soul will be uplifted. Have a great day.